thank you for that. That one person that was enthusiastic about singing together. Real simple chant that we're going to start with this morning. Hari Om, dear Lord, Satanam, holy name, when I call on the light within, I go home. Hari Om, dear Lord, Satanam, holy name, when I call on the light within, I go home. I call on the light within. I call on the light within. I call on the light. I call on the light. I call on the light within. Let's say, I call on the light within. I call on the light within. I call on the light. I call on the light. I call on the light within. There's a Buddha, Nanak, Allah, too, Jehovah, Rama, and the true Guru, Jesus, Moses, and Vishnu, Krishna, Ramdas, and the God in you. Peace on earth, goodwill to all. The time has come for us to stand tall. Call on the light that shines within. Call on the light within. I call on the light within. Help me say, I call on the light within. Yeah, yes, I call on the light. I call on the light. I call on the light within. Oh, say, I call on the light within. Call on the light. I call on the light within. Oh, yes, I call on the light. I call on the light. I call on the light within. Oh, say, I call on the light within. The light. I remember who I am. I call on the light. I call on the light. I call on the light within. Oh, I call on the light within. Oh, yeah, yes, I call on the light within. I call on the light. I call on the light. I call on the light within. Oh, Hari Om, dear Lord, Satanam, holy name. When I call on the light within, I am home. I'm like one of those Japanese bowls that were made long ago. I have some cracks in me. They have been filled with gold. That's what they used back then when they had a bowl to mend. They didn't hide the cracks. They let them shine instead. So now every old scar shows from every time I broke, and anyone's eyes can see I'm not what I used to be. But in a collector's mind, every jagged line makes me more beautiful, worth a much higher price. I'm like one of those Japanese bowls that was made long ago. I have some cracks you can see how they shine of gold, shine of gold, shine of gold.
Good morning, everyone. How are you? Excellent. My name is Susan Overland. For those of you I haven't met, I'm your assistant minister here at the Center for Spiritual Living in San Jose, and it is my honor, actually my great pleasure, to welcome you to my spiritual home, to welcome you to our center, where we are transforming lives, building dreams, and revealing love. So for those of you here in the seats, we're really happy to see you. For those of you who are joining us as part of our live stream community, a hearty welcome. Max Overland is your moderator today. If you have any questions, if there's anything you need, he'd be more than happy to answer those for you. So what's up today? We have our game show that's happening today, The Price is Right. We'll present that to you in a little while. We have a fantastic message by Dr. David. We have beautiful music by Michelle Jordan, Troy Arnett, and our backup vocalists, our musicians. We have an opportunity for fellowship. We don't talk about it very often, or we forget to mention it every now and then, but we do provide coffee on a Sunday, and we don't do that because we think you need caffeine. Okay, because we think I need caffeine. We actually do that because we'd love for you to have an opportunity to have a cup of coffee afterwards, browse our bookstore, our gift shop, and just meet someone. You know, it's all about being a community, so we're really glad you're here for that. Am I forgetting anything? If it's your first time here, yes, I am. If it's your first time here, a very special welcome. Like the airlines say, we know you have many choices for where you choose to fly your spirituality. So thank you. Thank you for choosing us. We have a welcome packet for you. It tells you a little bit more about who we are and what we do here at the center, and more importantly, why we do it, which is for you. And you can get one of those welcome packets at the concierge after service. If you don't have time to stop and visit today, you can grab one on the way out in the foyer. Any one of our ushers can give one of those to you. If you have a mobile device, a smartphone or a not-so-smart phone, if you would take a moment to please turn that into the off or vibrating position, that would be awesome. And let's be in community. Say hi to somebody maybe that you haven't met before. Thank you.
Good morning. Good morning. I know that the fellowship could go on for just ever. As we're preparing to go into an even deeper, more sacred time in the service, would you make certain that all of your cell phones and mobile devices are put into vibrate mode? And then know with me that we're going to begin with a chant, go into 2 minutes of silence. Following, I will pray with all of us, and we'll have the affirmation. So now, the chant.
Call on the light within. I call on the light within. I call on the light. Call on the light. I call on the light within. Say with us. I call on the light within. I call on the light within. I call on the light. I call on the light. I call on the light within.
And if you'll pray with me, in the undulating movement of the oceans, in the breeze that makes the flowers dance and the leaves jump, and in the roots that go down to the very core of this earth, where is the energy of fire. Spirit is. God is. There is no place where the oneness of Spirit is not. And particularly for those of us gathered here today, walking, driving, in this room, Spirit exists in, as, and through each and every one of us. And it is a spirit of love that allows our hearts to throb with the joy of life, with the energy to be the most perfect being that we can be, where the cracks are definitely mended with gold, to shine, to be whole, to remind ourselves that we are going to be who we came here to be, a divine and perfect and whole spirit. There is absolutely no way that I could be anything other than grateful and in thanksgiving for this knowingness that we are here in the oneness. And so I simply knowingly and willingly and lovingly release this prayer to the perfect right action of the law. And so it is. And now if you'll join me in the affirmation for today. Everything that I think, say, or do is governed by divine intelligence and inspired by divine wisdom. I am guided into right action. I am aware of my partnership with the infinite. I know that everything I do shall prosper.
I never knew there was a place to go where my spirit's thirst is quenched. Hold on to yourself, I'm hearing. Hold on to the best of who you are. It wasn't quite the way I had imagined, and yet it's more than all my dreams. Hold on to yourself, I'm hearing. It's more than what it seems, for here we are gathered. Here we are just like you. Right here it all matters. Everything you do. At the well, the time has come for everything.
At the well,
your life becomes an endless spring.
At the well,
for everyone's imagining.
At the well,
everyone is soaring. At the well. I never knew there was a place to go where my spirit's thirst is quenched. Hold on to yourself, I'm hearing. Hold on to the best of who you are. It wasn't quite the way I had imagined, and yet it's more than all my dreams. Hold on to yourself, I'm hearing. It's more than what it seems, for here we are where life becomes an endless spring.
At the well,
For everyone's imagining,
at the well,
everyone is
at the
soaring.
well,
Time has come for everything.
at the well,
Your life becomes an endless spring.
well,
Everyone's imagining,
at the well,
everyone is soaring. Time has come for everything.
at the well,
Your life becomes an endless spring for everyone's imagining.
at the well,
Everyone is soaring.
at the well,
I don't see lips moving.
at the well,
Oh, now I do. Come, let's put piece of tape together.
at the
Come
well,
on, sing about the way.
at the well,
Everyone is soaring.
at the well, at the well,
Lift your hand and say, I know the way.
at the well,
Come on, let's see the way.
at the well.
Everyone is soaring. And the way.
Jim Stingy, come on down. Jenny Everbroke, come on down. Richie Prosper, come on down. You're the next contestants on The Price is Right. Here's our host, Tracy Gary.
Good morning and welcome to The Price is Right. Let's bring out our first item so our contestants can guess the right price. Item number 1 is a medium no foam half-calf latte. Jim Stingy, what's your guess?
I know exactly how much that cost. $3.60 with tax. And you don't have to tip those people because you're getting it to go. It's not like they waited on you. And don't get any syrup or extras or they'll charge you an arm and a leg for them. There's sugar on the counter and it's free. I always take a couple extra packets to use at home. I haven't bought sugar in 2 years.
Tell us again, Jim. What's your guess?
$3.60 and not a penny more.
Show us the price. The price is right! That makes it a challenge for Richie and Jenny, who will have to guess the exact price to stay in the game. Let's bring out item number 2. Item number 2 is an all-expenses-paid Hawaiian vacation for 2. Richie, Prosper, what's your guess?
Wow, what a coincidence. I own a condo there. I do a lot of business on Oahu, and it's always a write-off, so I have no idea what that might cost. In fact, I usually send my parents there for the winter.
Very generous of you.
Well, God is my source, and I like to circulate my good fortune. Let's see, how about $5,000?
Angel, show us the price.
No!
Oh, Richie, it's a good thing you have that condo.
That's all right. I'm just here to have fun. It is abundant universe, you know.
Easy for you to say.
Okay then. Jenny, are you ready for your turn? Let's bring out item number 3. Oh, it's a new car! And not just any car, Jenny. It's a Tesla.
Oh my God! It's my dream car! Oh, I prayed and prayed. Oh, you have no idea how much I wanted this to happen. Lately, I've been having to take the bus to and from work, and Well, sometimes it's really late by the time I get my kids from daycare.
We want that for you too, Jenny. What's your guess?
I have to get it exactly right?
I'm afraid so if you want to be Jim Stingy.
Well, there's a big difference between a latte and a car.
Oh, just get on with it. My latte's getting cold.
Okay. $60,000.
Show us the price. Oh, Jenny. So sorry.
But I prayed about this. Winning a car today was the only way my prayers could get answered.
Can I have my coffee now?
Not so fast, Jim. It's not the only way, Jenny. I know you prayed to win today, but sometimes answered prayer reveals itself in ways you're not expecting. I have 5 cars. In fact, the one parked outside is a Honda CR-V. I know it's no Tesla, but it's a great family vehicle. Here's the key, Jenny. It's all yours.
Oh my God, Richie!
Wait a minute! I'm supposed to be the winner. You mean he's on his way to Hawaii, she gets a new car, and all I get is Pete's coffee?
That's right. You get what you expect, but you can start to play at home by remembering that God is your source. We live in an abundant universe, and it's all about circulation. I'd like to thank today's contestants and our studio audience. Bob, tell us about that parting gift.
It's a key! It's your key to abundance. You can put it on your keychain to remind you that God is your source. Please see the ushers on your way out to get this lovely parting gift.
I understand at Pete's they don't have Cremora. Good morning, everybody. I'm really happy to be here. I was spent this last week in Seattle with 30 other ministers. It was the one week of the year wherein Dr. Kathy Ann Lewis of Seattle, Dr. Edward Fulyoun of Santa Rosa, Reverend Lisa Leggett Garcia of Reno, and me from San Jose. We facilitate an ongoing education conference for 26 other ministers, and we provide an environment in which they can thrive. The people who apply for this must have been in their pulpit for a minimum of 6 months, and most of them are so burnt or fried they really are a bit crispy. And it is our intention to put them up in a 5-star resort area wherein they are pampered and nurtured and uplifted and fed well and exercised, but also the 4 of us ministers that facilitate, we explore with them ways that they can renew their vision or ways that they can gently choose something else. And while I'm there, I'm always renewed. And staff has this love-hate relationship with the ongoing education conference because they know I'm going to come back brand new, and they're very excited that things are about to change, and they're really, really scared that things are about to change. I'm loving the summer program, and so it is the game show. When I'm thinking about The Price is Right, I was thinking this week about what it is what price it is that I must pay for the things that I really hope to experience. And I'm talking about the price we pay in mental and spiritual coin. Reverend Doug Fogelsong of the Las Vegas Center for Spiritual Living has had for many years as his tagline on his email, I don't always get what I pray for, but I always get what I pray from. And when I think about prayer itself, I do almost always get what I pray from. Typically, I enter into prayer from a place of fear or worry or despair or sadness or anger or lack. And I have made it my goal to end prayer feeling as if the prayer is already complete. So my prayers typically end with an experience of gratitude. And so the results I typically get from prayer is I get something for which to be grateful, almost always. And when I don't, then I'm not done praying. This morning I had a phone conversation with my mother. She's not doing well in the physical world, but she's extraordinarily well in the world that is the thing itself. And she's on quite a bit of painkillers, and so she's a little loopy. But I have to tell you, my conversations with her are profound. The one I had with her this morning was about 2 minutes long. And I'm grateful for Darlene, who reminded me of the conversation I had with my mom this morning. So I was asking her how things are, and she was telling me about my dad. She said, you know, when my dad passed away in 2007, my mom and my dad had been married for 60 years. And Mom said she only has one regret in her life. One. Now, she raised 10 kids, married to the same man for 60 years. Went from Oklahoma in the Dust Bowl. I mean, she was like grapes of wrath. They went from Oklahoma when she was 5 to live in Los Angeles, wherein she was raised until she was 12, living in a tent on Eastern Avenue. And then when she was 12, her mother, the alcoholic, went back to Oklahoma. Her father escaped to the Yukon to look for gold and left her there to live with a Jewish family as a live-in housekeeper. Anyway, she tells some amazing tales, and for her to tell me this morning she only has one regret in her life, I said, what is that? She said, my only regret is I made your father second and I made you children first. If I had to do it all over again, I would have made your father first and you children second. Wow. So all of the folks I hear who are in relationship, there seems to be a theme, and the theme is, we got a little bit of trouble. Or, I'm not so happy. But I think about that. Mauricio and I have a very strong and clear commitment, and the commitment is that we have a distinction between the marriage and the business of the marriage. There's a distinction. So, are you going to pick up the laundry today? Or are you going to make sure that you call your mother? Who's planning the plane tickets? That's the business of the marriage. Come here and hold my hand. That's the marriage. Kiss me. That's the marriage. You make me so mad. That's the marriage. There's a distinction between the marriage and the business of the marriage, and sometimes we forget. And we're always waiting for the other person. But you know, if you're within my earshot and your partner isn't, then this message today is for you, not for them. We have another agreement in our household, and that is to always be my partner's boyfriend. So in addition to being my partner's spouse, I'm my partner's boyfriend. I tell married couples this too. It's one of the first things I tell them in counseling. It's time for you to be your husband's girlfriend. It's time to be your wife's boyfriend, or adjust that gender-wise for your relationship. But you know what I'm talking about. You're not just, I mean, it's like remember the behavior in which you participated in order to get them, to hook them, to lure them, to cinch the deal. And do it again. And this may get tiresome for you to hear, but really, shave your legs. Adjust that for your gender. So, I noticed that on our ministerial listserv, it's an email exchange with about 800 ministers worldwide, and sometimes it's not so holy. Sometimes it's not holy at all. Sometimes it's infuriating. And people who are really good-intentioned can sometimes get caught up in the story in their head and begin defending and protecting. And in this defending and protecting, they can be downright mean. So I saw a lot of that on Friday, email exchange, and it was about something that happened last week in our denomination. It was about a hiring and some question about hiring practices, something that's totally boring to you, I'm sure. But I paid attention to it, and I noticed something about it. And it applies to all of us here, and anyone online, and anyone who's listening to this CD or MP3 years from now. And that is to keep in context that the world is in trauma right now. Malaysia Airlines Flight 17 has created a planetary trauma. A missile shooting down a commercial airliner with 298 souls on board is not something we can just watch and then get on with our lives. Some of us think we're a little crazy or depressed, or I better up my medication, or I better have another drink because my work is really stressed. But let's look at the reality of it. We're seeing pictures of human bodies strapped to seats, still with their iPhone earbuds in, laying on a field in Ukraine. You can't just walk away from that and think that everything is okay. There's a woman in this room right now. She told me something a few years ago, and I've mentioned it from this pulpit, but I want to mention it again today because it's appropriate. She sometimes works in a preschool. And at the end of the preschool day, all the kids get together and put away their toys and put away their stuff, their paints, their crayons and such. But then there's a basket into which the kids put things that they don't know where they go. And the sign on the basket says, "I don't know where this goes." Malaysia Airlines, flight MH17, I don't know where this goes. So until I do know where it goes, it's my intention to move through the world this week softly and gently, and to be a little slower in the way that I respond to people, in the way I speak with folks, because the world is experiencing a planetary trauma. You know, in some states there's a waiting period before you buy a gun. We should have that for email. There should actually, you too? Yeah, there should definitely be a waiting period. You should actually send it and some official goes, 24-hour hold. So you have a chance to reach in and retract it and go, oh, that was a really bad idea. You know, we should have a 24-hour waiting period for email sometimes. Because almost without fail, the person on the spiritual path, no matter how righteous you feel, you hit send, and then you fire off your defensive mechanisms, and then immediately something in you goes, there was another way. That was not in violation of your sacred oath and covenants. You know, our ministerial and leadership and employees, staff, we have this regularly. One of us, you know, we love each other so much. We actually love each other and like each other so much that we sometimes get careless and fire an email off and then think, well, they'll forgive me. But, you know, and prayerfully they will. But to the one who did the sending, let's say me, I don't want to have to keep cleaning that up. Because I'm teaching people that they can trust me sometimes, but not all the time. And that's not my commitment. So a waiting period would be great. Do you guys remember a Jim Croce song? You don't tug on Superman's cape. You don't spit in the wind. You don't pull the mask off the old Lone Ranger, and you don't mess around with Jim. Okay. Do you know, I actually did a Google search to find out, what does that mean? Because I woke up hearing it. And I thought, is this like a message from, woo, God, he's sending me Jim Croce, and that's, so Jesus has come back as Jim Croce in my head. So you know what email said? What?
JC, same initials.
Woo! If you do a Google search on this song, it actually has some interesting. I love it. I said it has some interesting, and they go, ooh. The basic message of it is stop participating in self-defeating behavior. It's futile. Tugging on Superman's cape is self-defeating behavior. Spitting into the wind, or as Americans would say, pissing into the wind, it is self-defeating behavior. Pulling the mask off the Lone Ranger is self-defeating. And messing around with whoever Jim is self-defeating. So our call, that the price that we're paying this week, the price we're paying is gentleness. That's the price I'm willing to pay to be in the presence of the thing itself. I'm going to pay gentleness. I'm going to pay gentleness, and I'm going to pay the cost of alliances, an ally. And I'm going to pay the price of generosity. So gentleness, be gentle this week with people. Move slower. The part of the price to pay this week to experience the thing itself, the price to pay is creating an alliance, taking the time to have the thing itself be an ally. Did any of you ever see a film called Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back? Come on, date yourself. Me too. But we're actually at the age now we think, I think I saw it, but I don't really remember. And if I see it again, I go, this seems kind of familiar. No, don't turn it off. I don't care if we saw it. I don't remember. It's like watching a brand new movie. In Star Wars 5, The Empire Strikes Back, there's a particular scene in which Luke Skywalker's X-Fighter crashes into a marsh. And the scene is Luke having this experience with his Jedi master, Yoda. And Yoda is teaching Luke, much like I try to teach you in Foundations class, the mastery of the Force. Now remember, there's the good side of the Force and the bad side, the dark side, the good side, the light side. But it's still the Force. We're dealing with the same thing, the thing itself. It isn't good and it isn't bad, but its use is what makes it so. And what we see in this particular scene is we see Luke standing on his hands with his feet in the air, and then Yoda is standing on top of the soles of Luke's feet while Luke is imagining these rocks being lifted. And so he's trying to do all this when R2-D2 gets all excited because the ship is beginning to sink. And when he gets all excited, it distracts Luke, and Yoda falls and the rocks fall, and Luke says, and so Luke sees his ship sinking, and so he goes to his spaceship and he looks at it and he's like, but you see the water start to boil and the ship starts coming up and the audience is like, yes. And then Luke's like, ugh, it's too hard. It's too big. Malaysia Airlines, it's too big. But then there's Yoda. And Yoda says to Luke, while Yoda's looking at the sinking X-Wing ship, Yoda says, size matters not. Look at me. Judge me by my size, do you? My ally is the Force. And a powerful ally it is. My ally is the thing itself. And a powerful ally it is. That's the price I will pay this week. The price is right. The price that I'm paying is I'm paying gentleness. That's the price I'm paying because I want the thing itself. And the price I'm paying this week is ally. I'm making an alliance with the thing itself so that when something looks too big, I can remember to God it's not too big. And then Luke is inspired, and actually Luke then lifts the ship out of the murk. If you don't want to watch the video, it's like a 3-minute, 20-second clip on YouTube. So the price I'm paying is gentleness. The price I'm paying is an alliance with the thing itself. And lastly, the price I will pay this week is generosity, to be generous. There's a curious tendency in an opulent community like our nation. And that is, in the presence of opulence, there is stinginess. There's an interesting video series on the web. It's 60-second transformations. It's a 60-second social experiments. Some of them are probably unethical, but I enjoy them. 60-second experiments. And this particular one, the one that stirs me this week that I want to share with you, is linked particularly to generosity. It's an experiment that this kid and his two friends pulled off. He's a prankster, and he did this at a pizza house in Southern California. He had his friends sitting across the dining room of this busy pizza house, and then he, with a hidden microphone, walked up to groups or individuals who had big pizzas on their table, and he said, "Hey, I'm really hungry. Can I have a slice?" "No!" So then you see him going to an individual man who has a smaller pizza, but a full pizza on his table, and he says, "I'm really hungry. Can I have a slice?" And the man goes, "No!" But then the friends do this, took a whole pizza, outside, sitting on the curb was a homeless man, and they handed the homeless man this pizza, and he said thank you, and he put it in his shopping cart, and he had a slice. And then he's sitting there next to his shopping cart with the pizza, and he lights up a cigarette, and he's having a cigarette, when the prankster goes outside and says to the man, "You have any slices left?" And the homeless man says, "You hungry?" And he says, "Yeah, I'm hungry." Homeless man says, "Go ahead, help yourself." And then the 60-second video ends with this prankster sitting on the curb having a piece of pizza with the homeless man smoking a cigarette. Generosity. We forget to be generous with our sisters and brothers because somehow we become insulated. But then world events like Malaysia Airlines rattle us. And you know, in the center of the tragedy, I'm okay being unsettled. Because in the unsettledness, I'm raw enough to finally be paying attention. I'm very grateful. So our education coordinator, Reverend Doris Hoffman, and I, we've been fearlessly looking at the education calendar for this forthcoming year, and I want to just check in with you like an informal poll. How many of you have had foundations and the prerequisite classes up to Practitioner 1 training, even if you're a licensed practitioner? How many of you in the room believe you've had the prerequisite classes up to Practitioner 1, including practitioners? Okay. Checking in. Those of you who have raised your hands, how many of you, if I were to offer a 9-month class, 9 months, that means from September to May, moving beyond class about mental science, but really exploring spiritual science, high mysticism and deep spiritual practices in a 9-month environment facilitated by me. How many of you might be interested? Just check it out, Doris. Okay, cool. We're going to have this. We're going to explore this conversation in a broader, more community-minded way later on. Before I wrap up, what's up for you? Do you have any questions? What questions exist that you really need to have answered right now? When are you starting the class? Well, you may want to check in with Reverend Doris because she's fearlessly thinking, "Oh my God, I've already got the calendar planned out for next year. This is going to cause some real shift." But she's fearless in September. Shift happens. Do you have any other questions? What questions emerged for you right now? And that's a good question. Yes. Do you need to be on the prac track? I'm not quite sure. Take that to Reverend Doris and ask her. Find out if that's a reality. Yes?
How do you turn off the TV?
How do you turn off the TV? I don't. See, early on in my spiritual exploration, she said, "How do you turn off the TV with that news?" I don't turn it off. I don't. But I have a different take on it now. I have taken on moving through the world being a blessing. And that's the world that's being projected. And by the way, that's the world that people are paying for. People want it. We want to see it. Which is not necessarily a bad thing because, by the way, our biology requires that we rubberneck to see accidents. I don't know if you know this. Our biology requires that we look at accidents because then we assess what went wrong so we can assure our own survival. I don't know if you know this. Be gentle on yourself when you rubberneck. It's not just because you're morbid. I'm morbid, but I know this about me. But there's also a biology that does a check to make sure that we don't do that too. But I've taken it on to a more mystical level. When I see it, that's my prayer call. I'm always looking for reasons to pray now. Give me reasons to pray. And every time that flashes, like, there's a reason to pray. To me, the TV is my prayer request list. It's like an ongoing forever, pray now, pray now, pray now, pray now. Maybe you're having that at your work in the cubicle. Pray now, pray now, pray now. But instead of trying to shut out the world, what if we could adjust ourselves and make an impact in the world? That's what I want to do. Thank you for asking. Any other questions as we close? Okay, well, if you have any, maybe you can let me know in Fellowship Hall. Let's take just a moment and pray. But here's how I want to pray. I really want to pray by having our music team come back, including the musicians, if they are within earshot. Can you reproduce the first song, the opening song, in a sing-along fashion? And I'm going to ask you, rather than have me pray for you, have you pray with me for folks in Ukraine and Russia, and by the way, that global thing that's simmering right now, the people who were in Amsterdam who said goodbye to those 298 souls, the people in Malaysia and in Australia and in Bali that were expecting those 298 souls. I'm not going to pray for them. We are. Deal? And how we're going to do that today is in prayer. And I expect the song's going to get louder and faster and louder and faster. Help me take this on, okay?
I call on the light within. I call on the light within. I call on the light. I call on the light. I call on the light within. I call on the light within. I call on the light. I call on the light. I call on the light within. I call on the light within. I call on the light within. I call on the light. I call on the light. I call on the light within. I call on the light within.
Yeah, thank you. Just let that be. The beauty of what we're up to at the Clark Street Center for Spiritual Living in San Jose is later you can check live stream and the archive of that comes up. It never quite relays itself, lends itself to what really happened here in this room, or for those of you watching online live. But if you want to reenact that prayer, if you forget this week and you're watching the news and you wonder what to do, take your computer and switch over to live stream and open up this service and watch that little section again, and maybe in the privacy of your own cubicle you can reenact that. It's time for the offerings, tithes, and gifts. But before the ushers come through, before you do, let me just tell you something that is up for me this week. I'm noticing that in my life I'm looking for bigger and better and grander. Whenever I go to a fast food joint, I notice that for 27 cents more, I can move from a small sandwich and a small fry and a small drink to a jumbo supersize. And I like to get my money's worth. So even though I don't want those calories and I don't want that fat and I don't want secretly I do want it, but I know I'm not supposed to want it, that I pay the 27 cents because I want more for less. This is why smorgasbords are so wonderful. They're like the all-you-can-eat. I don't go to a constrict the amount you eat buffet. But I've noticed that I want this in my spirituality too. I want more and more, but I want to give less and less. And by the way, right now I'm not talking about just money. I want more of an experience of God, but I want to give less of my time. I want more of an experience of God, but I want to give less of my pizza. I want more of an experience of God, and I want to give less of my prayer or my compassion or my gentleness. Well, in the book of, I've lost it. Oh, it's in Luke. In Luke, I'm sure you've heard, give and it shall be given back to you, pressed down and running over. When I was a kid, I used to look at that and I kind of thought it meant if I give $1, Jesus will give me 100 back. Actually, that's not a bad arrangement, but Jesus never came through for me. You know what I'm really thinking now? What that means is when I give, it's given back to me, pressed down and pushed over. I mean, not just money. You guys get this? Giving of my attention and my love and my kindness and my forgiveness, and then it's given back to me, pressed down and overflowing. So when the ushers are going to come forward and help us with the sharing of our gifts and tithes and offerings. And if you're able to give financially today, I'm asking you to give generously. And if you're not able to, I'm still asking you to give generously, but give generously of your attention and of your compassion and of your resources, your other resources to your world. And I'm also asking you to join me in our giving affirmation, which is, my eyes and ears are attuned to the opportunities the universe provides for me to receive. I am open to receive what blessings are coming my way today and every day.
God is the only power in my life. Look how my life has changed and I've got it right. I'm living a life of gratitude. It's love that changed my attitude. God is the only power. God is the only power. God is the only power in my life. Listen again. God is the only power in my life. Look how my life has changed and I've got it right. I'm living a life of gratitude. It's love that changed my attitude. God is the only power. God is the only power. God is the only power in my life. Wasn't that long ago thinking I was lost? Living in a fairy tale thinking I was lost. I realized it's all about the trust, faith, love, and gratitude. God is the only power. God is the only power. God is the only power in my life. God is the only power. God is the only power. God is the only power in my life. God is the only power. God is the only power. God is the only power in my life. God is the only power. God is the only power. God is the only power in my life.
You rock, Michelle. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Is it like awesome in here? Or is it me? Oh, thank you. So I wanted to make, hi. Let me let you know what's going on this week. And starting with today, we had initially planned on having a Fellowship 1 training today, hosted by Reverend Megan and Max, and we're going to postpone that till August. This is Max's first day taking the new knee for a spin for more than 20 minutes, 30 minutes. So welcome back, hon. But that would make the afternoon a little bit too long. So thank you for your patience and understanding while we shift that. And we'll do it in August and let you know the date. Thank you. So today is the last day for you to handle any kind of upset and stuff, because tomorrow night we'll be managing those emotions and thriving under pressure. So just have all your meltdowns and breakdowns today, and then tomorrow night you can come, and when David starts the class, you can go, oh, I knew that. I took care of that, thank you. So, no, really. The class does start tomorrow night. That is from 7 to 10 p.m. Again, if you would pre-register, we'd be so grateful. And you could do that right from the comfort of your living room on our website, or you could go right out there and the concierge team member will help you get registered. On Wednesday night, Michelle will graciously be facilitating the Wednesday free spiritual practices class, since I will be away this week, and Maureen is also away this week, so Michelle has graciously stepped in, and that's going to be awesome and fun. Thursday night is our Awaken meditation from 7 to 8 with a light free meal afterwards in silence that is prepared for you. Megan, can people still join on Friday night? The Creative Brilliance? Creative Brilliance, is it happening this Friday? Well, anyway, maybe. So Creative Brilliance, my point being, is that is the amazing paint on canvas class that's facilitated by Deb Dake Morell and Reverend Megan, and it's awesome. I saw some of what was being created this past Friday. You can see it too. It's all right here, and you can still join that class if you're interested. Please speak with Reverend Megan or Deb if she's here. Friday night, it's finally here. It's the talent show. CSL's Got Talent. Woot woot. It's one of my favorite nights of the year because I don't know why I'm surprised, but I'm still always surprised and astounded by the talent that lies within this community. And so you can come out and be astounded as well. There is really so much joy and fun that night. And I think there's some special guest judges. Yes? Alrighty, yeah, that'll be fun. Save the date on July 27th. I believe Reverend Doris is hosting a practitioner orientation for anyone who is interested in learning about practitioner studies. And then there is an introduction to Landmark on August 3rd. And July, our outreach program is about adopting a kindergartner. For back-to-school supplies, you can get a list from the outreach team in Fellowship Hall. And I have to tell you very quickly about a very special opportunity that came up. There was so San Jose has a jazz festival every year. Do you guys know about it, the San Jose Jazz Festival? It's remarkable. And they have an artist who's performing there this year whose name is Nicole Henry. And she's been performing all over Europe. She won some kind of independent jazz soloist award. She's remarkable. And just through some stroke of luck via John Locke, our sound person, she needed a place to hold a dress rehearsal before her San Jose Jazz performances. And we are fortunate enough to be able to provide that space. And then she said, perhaps folks in your community would like to come. So on Wednesday, August 6th, instead of the typical Wednesday night spiritual practices class, we're going to have an evening of amazing music in here with Nicole Henry. It is, like I said, it's her dress rehearsal. You know, so maybe a mic could go out or something, or she could maybe say, no, I don't like that key, let's try something else. In any event, it's going to be remarkable and a privilege for us. We are asking for a $10 love offering just because we're going to do lights and sound and band and all of that. So, but no one is turned away. No one. It's still like free. If you want it to be free, just a donation. So please come out on August 6th to experience that evening with Nicole. And now let's talk about the auction. Oh, hi. I was looking for your cohort in crime. Here we are.
Hello, I'm Joanna, and Anne is live streaming today, and we are chairing the Diamonds and Denim auction, which is September 6th. We are looking for donations. So if you missed out on the Gourmets for God or had so much fun donating what you presented, now's your chance to do it again. For the auction, we are looking for gift baskets. We are looking for sponsors, advertisers. This is going to be a wonderful event. And please see me in Fellowship Hall after the service.
Will you also take a Tesla? Okay. If you'd like to donate a Tesla, we will not give it to Jenny. We'll actually give it to the auction. If there's something you like for which you'd like prayer, please have a seat in the chapel area, and someone, one of our licensed practitioners, will pray with you. It is our gift.
Yesterday, our entire practitioner class passed their oral panels, so we have 5 new licensed practitioners. The funny thing is, and not one of them is in this room today. Oh! Karen Fedor is a newly licensed practitioner. She says, would you all please stand and take the hand of the person on your left and on your right, and just join me in our standard and customary call response. I am at home in the heart of God. I am at home in the heart of God. My life is anchored in truth. My life is anchored in truth. I can never be separate. I can never be separate. I live in the consciousness of peace. I live in the consciousness of peace. I release all fear. I release all fear. I am living love. I am living love. And so it is.
God is the only power. God is the only power in my life. God is the only power. God is the only power. God is the only power in my life. God is the only power. God is the only power. God is the only power in my life. God is the only power. God is the only power. God is the only power in my life.
It's so good to see you. Hi. Good to see you. Linda, good to see you. This is not the body of a mother.
This is Signs of Life.